I saw him before the service started. Through the crowd of black umbrellas and hushed voices, there he was, Daniel, standing at the back of the funeral home parking lot, hands shoved deep in his coat pockets, looking like he wasn't sure he had the right to be there. We hadn't spoken in 2 years. Not a word, not a text, nothing. And now here he was, at my mother's funeral, and I didn't know whether to feel grateful or furious. My mother died on a Tuesday. Isn't that strange how you remember details like that? Like the day of the week matters somehow. Tuesday morning, 7:43. I got the call from the hospital while I was making coffee. The mug I was holding had a chip on the rim. I remember staring at that chip while the doctor's words washed over me. Cardiac arrest. Did everything we could. So sorry for your loss. That chipped mug is still in my kitchen. I can't bring myself to throw it away. The last 2 years had been the hardest of my life, and I'd gone through them alone. Well, not completely alone. I had friends, co-workers, my sister Sarah, but Daniel, he'd been different. He'd been the person who knew me in that way where you don't have to explain yourself, where silence is comfortable and understood, where a look across a room could communicate entire conversations, until it all fell apart. It happened the way these things usually do, slowly, then all at once. We'd been best friends since college, one of those intense friendships that people sometimes mistake for something more. And maybe there was always something more simmering underneath, but we never named it, never crossed that line. We just existed in this perfect bubble of understanding and connection. We had this running joke that we were each other's person, like in those medical dramas, your person, the one who shows up, the one who stays. Then I met Caroline, beautiful, ambitious Caroline with her infectious laugh and her way of making me feel like I could conquer the world. I fell hard and fast, the way you do when you're 28 and think you found the one. Daniel was happy for me, at least he said he was, but something shifted. Our weekly dinners became monthly. Monthly became sporadic. Phone calls got shorter, less frequent. I told myself it was natural, normal. I was building a life with Caroline. He was busy with work, with his own life. The fight, when it finally came, was about something so stupid I can barely remember the details now. Caroline had planned this big dinner party, wanted to show off our new apartment. I invited Daniel, of course. He canceled last minute, some excuse about work. I called him out on it, told him he'd been distant, asked him what was really going on. He said I'd changed, that Caroline had changed me, that I didn't have time for the people who actually mattered anymore. I said he was jealous, that he needed to grow up and accept that I had a girlfriend now, that I couldn't be available every second of every day like we were still in college. It escalated from there. Words we didn't mean. Or maybe we did mean them in that moment. He said I'd become someone he didn't recognize. I said maybe he never really knew me at all. He hung up. I didn't call back. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Pride is a terrible thing. It builds walls brick by brick until you can't see over them anymore. Can't remember why you started building in the first place. Caroline and I broke up 8 months later. Turns out she was right to worry about Daniel, just not in the way either of us thought. It wasn't that I had feelings for him. It was that I'd lost my best friend trying to prove I didn't. The irony wasn't lost on me. I thought about calling Daniel then, swallowed my pride 100 times, pulled up his contact on my phone. But what would I say? You were right. I messed up? Too much time had passed. The gap felt too wide to bridge. My mother knew, of course. Mothers always know. She'd ask about Daniel casually, too casually, while we were doing dishes after Sunday dinner. How's Daniel doing? Have you talked to him lately? You two were so close. I'd give vague answers, change the subject. She stopped asking eventually, but I'd catch her looking at me sometimes with this sad understanding in her eyes that made me feel like a kid again, like I'd disappointed her somehow. 3 months ago, she got sick. Pneumonia, they thought at first. Then it was more tests, more doctors, words like advanced and aggressive and limited options. She handled it with the same quiet grace she'd handled everything in her life. Made jokes with the nurses, told me not to hover, planned her own funeral because she said she didn't trust Sarah and me to pick good hymns. She was right, we wouldn't have. There were so many nights in those last weeks when I sat by her hospital bed and thought about calling Daniel. Thought about how he'd know exactly what to say, or more importantly, when to say nothing at all. How he'd bring terrible hospital cafeteria coffee and make fun of the daytime TV shows until I laughed despite everything. But I didn't call. Too much time, too much pride, too much everything. Now here he was anyway, standing in the rain at my mother's funeral, and I had no idea what to do about it. The service was beautiful, if funerals can be beautiful. Sarah and I had done our best. The hymns were decent, probably better than Mom gave us credit for. People told stories, cried, laughed at the funny parts. I gave a eulogy that I barely remember delivering. My voice sounded like it was coming from somewhere outside my body. I kept scanning the crowd, looking for him, but I couldn't find Daniel anywhere. Maybe he'd left. Maybe showing up was enough. His way of paying respects without actually having to face me. After the service, during the reception at my mother's house, I was in the kitchen refilling coffee when I felt someone behind me. I knew it was him before I turned around. You know how sometimes you just know? The air changes. Your body recognizes a presence before your mind catches up. "Hey," he said, just that one word. Hey, like we'd seen each other last week, like 2 years hadn't passed, like my mother wasn't dead. I turned around. He looked different. Older, maybe. Or maybe just tired. His hair was longer than he used to keep it. There were lines around his eyes I didn't remember, but his eyes were the same, that deep brown that always reminded me of autumn, warm and safe and home. "Hey," I said back. We stood there in this terrible, awkward silence, the kind that never would have existed between us before. I could hear the murmur of voices from the living room, Sarah's laugh at something someone said. The coffee maker gurgled behind me. "I'm sorry," he said finally, "about your mom. She was really special." "Thank you for coming," I managed. "I didn't know if I didn't think." "I almost didn't," he admitted. "I sat in my car for 20 minutes trying to decide. But she would have wanted me here. She texted me, actually, about a month ago." The coffee pot in my hand nearly slipped. "What?" "She texted me," Daniel repeated, pulling out his phone. He scrolled for a moment, then handed it to me. There it was, my mother's contact, her message from February 14th, Valentine's Day. I smiled at that. Of course she'd chosen Valentine's Day. The text read, "Daniel dear, I'm not doing well. Don't tell my son I told you. He's stubborn like his father, won't ask for help, won't reach out even when he needs to, but he needs his friend. He needs you. Whatever happened between you two, life's too short. Trust me, I know. Please think about it. Love, Susan." He'd responded, "I will, I promise. Take care of yourself." She'd written back, "I'm trying. Take care of my boy." I read it 3 times, my mother's words blurring as my eyes filled. She'd known I needed him, known I was too proud or scared or stupid to reach out myself. So she'd done it for me. One last gift. "I didn't know what to say," Daniel said softly, taking his phone back. After she sent that. "I wanted to call you so many times, but I didn't know if you'd want to hear from me, if too much had happened, if I'd burned that bridge too badly." I set down the coffee pot before I could drop it. "We both burned it," I said. "I was an idiot. You tried to tell me I was losing myself and I couldn't hear it, didn't want to hear it. I was so caught up in proving that I could have a relationship and keep my friends that I ended up with neither. Caroline, he asked, over, long over. Turns out you were right about a lot of things. I didn't want to be right, Daniel said. I just wanted my best friend back. I wanted, he paused, looked down at his hands. I wanted to matter to you the way you mattered to me. You did. You do. I took a breath, forced myself to be honest in a way I should have been 2 years ago. Losing you was worse than losing her, worse than anything. And when Mom got sick, God, Daniel, I wanted to call you every single day. You would have known what to do. You always knew what to do. I didn't know what to do about us, he said quietly. I didn't know how to tell you that we. He stopped, started again. Do you remember that night, senior year? After Melissa's party? I remembered. We'd walked home together, slightly drunk, laughing about something ridiculous. We'd stopped on the bridge over the river, looked at the stars. He'd turned to me, and for just a second, I'd thought he might kiss me. The moment had hung there, suspended, full of possibility. Then someone had shouted from across the bridge, and the moment passed. We never talked about it, never acknowledged that something had almost happened. I remember, I said. I've thought about that night 1,000 times, Daniel said. Wondered what would have happened if I'd been braver, if I'd just... But I was scared. Scared of losing you. Scared of ruining what we had. So I said nothing. Did nothing. And then you met Caroline, and I realized I'd waited too long, that I'd missed my chance. And instead of being happy for you like a real friend would be, I was bitter, jealous. I pulled away because it hurt too much to stay close. The kitchen felt too small suddenly, too warm. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. Why are you telling me this now? Because your mom was right, he said. Life's too short. She knew that better than anyone at the end. And I've wasted 2 years already. I don't want to waste any more. I don't expect anything from you. I just needed you to know. Needed to be honest about why I really pulled away. Why that fight hurt so much. I looked at him, really looked at him, at the vulnerability in his eyes, the way he was holding himself like he was braced for rejection. This was Daniel, my person, the one who showed up, even after 2 years, even when it was hard, even when he wasn't sure he'd be welcome. I don't know what this is, I said slowly. I don't know what we are or what we could be. I just know that losing you was one of the worst things that ever happened to me. And having you here today, it's the first time in months that I feel like I can actually breathe. That's enough, Daniel said. That's more than enough. We can figure out the rest. We can take it slow. We can just start over, start somewhere. Sarah appeared in the doorway then, stopped short when she saw us. Oh, she said. Daniel, you came? I came, he confirmed. She looked between us, and I saw understanding dawn on her face. Mom would be so happy, she said softly. She always loved you, always said you were good for him, that you made him laugh. She had terrible taste in people, I said, but I was smiling. Tears on my face, but smiling. The worst, Sarah agreed. She hugged Daniel quickly. Stay, okay? Don't disappear again. I won't, he promised. The reception wound down eventually. People left in groups offering final condolences, promising to check in. Sarah headed home with her husband, and then it was just Daniel and me in my mother's house, surrounded by the debris of the day. Dirty coffee cups and crumpled napkins and half-eaten casseroles. We should clean up, I said. We should, Daniel agreed. But neither of us moved. We ended up on the back porch instead, where my mother used to sit every evening with her tea. The rain had stopped. The air smelled clean and new. We sat in the old wicker chairs, not talking, just existing in the same space. It felt like coming home after a long trip, familiar and strange all at once. I missed this, I said finally. Just this. Being quiet with you. Me too, Daniel said. Every day. I missed you every single day. I turned to look at him. What do we do now? Now? He smiled, that crooked smile I'd missed so much. Now we take your mom's advice. We don't waste any more time. We figure this out together, whatever this is, whatever it becomes. I'm scared, I admitted. Scared of messing this up again. Scared of losing you for good this time. Then we'll be scared together, Daniel said. But we'll be together, that's what matters. He reached over and took my hand. It was such a simple gesture, but it felt monumental, like a promise, like a beginning. His hand was warm and solid and real, proof that he was here, that we were here, that somehow, despite everything, we'd found our way back to each other. My mother would have loved this, I said. She probably planned it this way, probably told you to come just so we'd have to face each other. Absolutely she did, Daniel agreed. Sneaky until the very end. We sat there as the sun started to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, my mother's favorite time of day. Magic hour, she called it, when anything feels possible. And sitting there with Daniel's hand in mine, I thought maybe she was right. Maybe anything was possible, even second chances, even love that waited 2 years to be acknowledged, even healing. Thank you, I said quietly, for showing up, for being brave enough to come even when you weren't sure you should. For everything. Always, Daniel said. I'll always show up for you. That's what your person does. My person, I repeated. Yeah, you are. And for the first time since that Tuesday morning phone call, I felt something other than grief. I felt hope. I felt possibility. I felt like maybe, just maybe, something good could come from all this pain. My mother's last gift to me wasn't just bringing Daniel back. It was the reminder that love, in all its forms, is worth fighting for. Worth being vulnerable for. Worth the risk. The stars were starting to come out. The same stars Daniel and I had looked at that night on the bridge all those years ago. The night we almost kissed. The night that started everything and nothing all at once. But this time felt different. This time we both knew what we were walking toward. This time we weren't going to let the moment pass. Daniel, I said. Yeah? I think I've been in love with you for a very long time. I just didn't know how to say it, or maybe I was too scared to say it. He squeezed my hand. I know, he said. Me too, since that night on the bridge. Maybe even before. We have a lot to figure out. We do. It might be complicated, probably will be. But you're staying. You're really staying this time. I'm staying, Daniel promised, for as long as you'll have me. I'm not going anywhere. I leaned my head on his shoulder, felt him rest his cheek against my hair, and there, on my mother's back porch, under the emerging stars with my best friend, my person, the man I was maybe possibly definitely in love with, I finally let myself believe that everything might actually be okay. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. We'd get there together. Thank you, Mom, I whispered to the twilight, for knowing what I needed, for loving me enough to make sure I got it, for bringing him back to me. And I swear, in the gentle evening breeze, I could almost hear her laugh. That warm, knowing laugh that said she'd known all along how this story would end. She'd just been waiting for us to figure it out ourselves.